Hello and welcome to Found Footage. I'm Siobhan, I'm joined by Casey.
Hi, I'm Casey.
It's always Casey. Casey's
Only
always
Casey.
here. Can't make her leave. I'm kidding, she does this as a favor.
Oh, please, someone help.
That sounded muffled, so it sounded like you were, in the basement or some shit.
That's amazing.
But today we are talking about the Crazies, the remake version from 2010. I remember vaguely seeing some of this movie before, and I don't think I watched the entire thing because I don't remember the whole thing. You've seen it before, haven't you?
I have. It was one of those movies I'd always put on in the background, so I've seen it a good amount.
Awesome, awesome. I haven't seen the original 1973 version, neither of you. We could probably do that at some point, make some comparisons. But for the moment, we have only seen this one, so I think this is the highest budgeted film that we've covered, you said.
Yeah, it is actually. Woohoo.
Well,
Breaking record.
look at us, creating records. So the movie starts with some shots of some burnt out cars and then a tiny little tag at the bottom right corner of the screen where it's like, oh, 2 days earlier. And then there's a country version of We'll Meet Again that's originally by Vera Lynn, but this version's by Johnny Cash, and it's a bop.
It is a bop.
It's a bop.
I mean, how can you not like something sung by Johnny Cash?
I mean, I'm not a massive fan, but I'm not against it.
No, I think I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to him except maybe Ring of Fire or something like that, but I won't switch the channel if a good old Johnny Cash comes on.
Yeah, that's fair, that's fair. And so the song is playing over some small town sequences. It's like people walking down the main street, like kids on bikes, you know what I mean? Stuff, people going around their daily lives. And there is a small scene where we meet Judy, who is the town doctor, and her assistant Becca, who wants to go hang out with her aunt who's sick, and Judy's like, oh, well, tell your aunt Scotty that's a no, you'll be missing the baseball game. And she's like, no, that's not what I'm doing. And she's like, listen, go have fun. Everybody in this town knows it's not a good, well-kept secret. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a town of just over 1,000 people. Everybody knows your business. Just go have fun. So we cut to the baseball field, and as a non-American, I'm like, okay, that's cool. You with your Americanisms.
I was like, I recognize that.
Casey's like, aha, the good old diamond. Miss it, love it. Casey's an American.
Just in case no one could tell, I'm American.
Are you American?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure last time I checked.
Cool, we might have to get back to you on that. We might need to do a test.
That's fine. I'll go find my birth certificate, and then we can go through all the documents together.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, we wouldn't want to lie to the people.
No, we might as well make an episode on it.
We might as well just make an episode, it'll be Casey's origin story. But, before we actually get to the baseball, I want to make a point that Judy is played by Radha Mitchell, who was Rose De Silva in Silent Hill, which we're gonna have to cover at some point. And she was also in London Has Fallen and other stuff that I haven't seen, but I know her from Silent Hill.
That's where I know her from mainly as well.
Yeah, it didn't actually click until you'd said, you were like, oh shit, she's in Silent Hill. Oh shit, she was in Pitch Black as well.
I don't remember much of that movie.
We're gonna have to, I don't know if it's, some people maybe don't class Pitch Black as horror, but I think that it would be an adjacent sort of horror sci-fi, where it's mostly sci-fi, but it's got horror elements, because obviously there's monsters and stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There's some spooks.
I remember Riddick more, which is way more sci-fi.
Yeah, see, I don't remember ever seeing Riddick. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen Riddick, and I've only seen Pitch Black. Which is fair, I think.
Yeah, that's fine.
In my opinion.
I mean, at least you didn't watch the second one and never see the first one.
I mean,
which is
I've
basically what.
done that with plenty of movies. The first movie I seen from the Halloween series was Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, and that one doesn't even have Michael Myers in it. Yeah. So I'd seen those totally out of order. I haven't even seen all of them, which seems like maybe I shouldn't admit that on a horror podcast, like horror podcast episode thing, especially when I've named it as one of like the 5 meatiest horror genres to like get into.
It's all coming out now.
It really is, but I haven't seen some of the sequels because they get kind of, you know what I mean?
No, that's fair. I mean, like, the only Friday the 13th film I've ever seen is Jason X. So, like,
Jason X is an amazing film, and we will cover that at some point, probably.
it is hands down one of my favorite films.
It's just so easy to watch.
It's just so ridiculous, though.
It's like they knew exactly what they were doing when they were making Jason X. They were like, cool, we've taken Jason, he's in space now, let's just fucking make it work. You know what I mean? And they did. It was amazing. It was great. I really liked it.
It really came together.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 film.
10 out of 10 would watch again. But we've gone totally off topic, which is great for the episode, but I will have to edit this later. So so we're back on the baseball field. There is a man with a shotgun sort of made his way onto the field, and the sheriff and his deputy clock him, and they're like, shit, so they go and are like, hey, you gotta get out of here. The man's called Rory. They're like, Rory, what are you doing? You're drunk. Put the gun down. And Rory doesn't go to put the gun down. He goes to aim the shotgun at the sheriff. So I've just got the note, bang bang, he shot him down.
That's amazing. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
I don't know why you didn't think of that either. But you know. And so the camera sort of pans out a little bit, and you just sort of see him lying dead on the floor, and like the sheriff, who is called David Dutton. So yeah, but he is played by Timothy Oliphant, who is the husband in Santa Clarita Diet, and he was in I Am Number 4, and he was also in the Hitman movie, which is, you know, kind of garbage, but
I know him from Transformers.
he was in Transformers?
Yeah.
It was in Scream 2! That's where I recognize his face from even more! Oh my god, he was Mickey in Scream 2. I like you're just like, yeah, totally.
I know that.
Yeah.
Actually, I've never... Well, I have seen Scream 2 at some point, but not anywhere near early enough to remember it.
That's fair. And he's also in a bunch of other stuff. He's in, like, fucking... He's been in Sex and the City. He was in Gone in 60 Seconds. He's been in heaps and heaps of stuff. But I clocked it when I was watching it. I was like, I recognize his damn face. So... It just turns out that I just didn't know where I knew him from. But we get a title card then. Just a little subtle wee title card where it says The Crazies down in the corner like it's had the 2 days earlier. And we are in Ogden Marsh, which is a town. Don't ask me where in America it's supposed to be. It's near Cedar Rapids. Is Cedar Rapids a real place?
Sure, maybe. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be in Iowa.
Alright, we'll pretend that we're in Iowa. Not the Slipknot album, we're not in that. But...
Oh man, can we not be in there?
Yeah, right, we're just going to turn off this episode and go listen to Slipknot. No?
The rest of the episode is just Slipknot.
Yeah. I was going to be like, well, just fucking slap people equals shit on that, but I don't think that was from Iowa. So, I think that was from the other one. I can't remember the full title, but it was Volume 3. Subliminal Messaging, I think. Another tangent, we're not even like 6 lines into my fucking notes.
We're at the top half of my first page.
Same. Oh my god. Right. So we are then in the coroner's office at the back of the I want to say like the church or like the funeral parlor. I think it's the funeral parlor.
Yeah, it's a funeral parlor.
Funeral parlor. Because it doesn't really tell you exactly what this place is, but it's a small town, so everything's kind of integrated.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a mortician's office as well as like...
it'll be a mortician's office instead of a... What did I call it?
A coroner.
Coroner, yeah. The coroner probably works out of the mortician's office, I would imagine, but...
I'm pretty sure he's just the same dude.
Yeah, he probably... Yeah, it's one man One man does all. But he comes out into the chapel kind of area where Rory's widow and son are, and she fucking slaps him. Which, great. The sound effect was amazing. Like, it was a great slap sound effect.
It was a good top-notch slap.
It sounded like she just sort of clapped right in his face. Like, it was like, oh, mwah, chef's kiss. Or whatever the kids do now. But she's like, listen, he hasn't drank for 2 years and he was proud of that and you know that. So don't go around telling people that he was fucking drunk. And it's like, okay, chill, sweet, nice. He then is at his desk the next day, and it turns out that the town drunk wasn't drunk. The tests come back negative for any alcohol consumption, which he finds strange. He's not going to get the drug results back for maybe another week, a few days to a week, and he's like, great, this is amazing. He wasn't drunk. Why did he have the shotgun? I should also mention at this point, I think there was a scene just before this where he was at home, and it turns out that his wife is the doctor.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, like, I didn't clock it right away because I didn't really see her face super. Like, I wasn't paying that much attention to her face, but I clocked it after that was his wife, that they were a married couple.
I have the fortune of seeing it umpteen times beforehand, so
which is fair.
I just kind of went in with that knowledge.
Yeah, you just went in like, I know what's happening.
I know. To be fair, there's like a lot of stuff that happened in the middle that I was like, oh, I don't really remember that. So, I mean, it was nice. It was good.
Well, that's good. It's almost like a watching a new film, kind of.
Yeah.
And so, we are back at the baseball field, and the sheriff's just sort of looking around. He's found out that the guy wasn't drunk. He's wondering what's going on. And he sees the principal spaced out on one of the bleachers, and he has to click his fingers and call his name multiple times to actually get his attention. And we're like, okay, that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
And we cut to another man who I thought was the same man for a while because they've got the same haircut and they're both white dudes.
Also, their names are Ben and
Bill. So we cut to the doctor's office, and it's not Ben, the principal. It is this guy Bill. His family have taken him to the doctor because he's spaced out. He doesn't seem quite right. His responses are a bit stilted. His wife's really worried. Like they've got a young son who must be like, I don't know, like 9, something like that.
Yeah, around about that age.
And the doctor's like, well, all of his vitals are back fine, but I maybe want to take him to see somebody to get a CT scan just in case it's like he's taken a knock or something. Like, it could be concussion or something similar, which I'm assuming she's thinking, oh, it's like brain shit. But we go, shut up, it's brain shit. That's the technical term. I'm a doctor.
Really? I don't remember you going to medical school.
I never said I was a medical doctor.
Oh boy. I'm a horror doctor.
I'm a doctor of horror. Can you get a doctorate in horror?
I don't think you can.
Alright, well, you should make me one.
Right, okay, because I have all of the qualifications.
I'll display it upon my bedroom wall.
To be fair, Vaughn, like, if you've not seen all the Halloween films, I don't know if you're
I'm not qualified. I shouldn't be allowed. You know what? Hands up. Shouldn't be allowed.
You're not even a real horror fan.
You're not even a real horror fan unless you really appreciated that one scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4 where Matthew McConaughey sounded like one of the sand people from Star Wars and rolled over a car and was like,
I don't even know what to say to that. Should we move on?
We are then in Bill's family home, and he appears to be like out in the shed. There's a light on. He's out there being a crazy man, and his son and his wife are inside. And his son's like, "Hey, what's Dad doing out there?" So his fucking wife goes out to check, and like I said, he's been being a crazy man, leaving fucking tractors on and shit, making noises. And then she hears like a scream from inside after she's turned off this fucking tractor that was just fucking whirling around. And she goes in and she's like, Nicholas, where is my child? And he sort of like pulls her into a cupboard upstairs. And she's like, oh my god, my darling, what's wrong? And he's like, it's Dad. And she's like, oh, what's Dad? And he's like, he's got a knife. And it's like, oh, crazy.
you, all I could think about is that video of the mom being like, "What do you've got there?" And the little toddler is like, "A knife!"
I've not seen that.
Oh my god, have you not?
Wait, is that the one? Is he holding a knife? Right, hold on. Is that the same video where it's the kid who's running around the pool with a lump of shit in his hand?
Yeah.
Is he holding a knife?
Yeah.
I thought it was a lump of shit.
No, I'm pretty sure it was a knife.
I always thought it was a lump of shit.
I don't know. I mean, I've only ever seen like the clip where she's like, "What do you got there?" And he's like, "A knife." And then she like goes after him and like,
Oh, right.
"No."
I never paid attention to what the kid said, so I couldn't tell you. I just always figured that he was just holding a fucking piece of dog shit or something, because that's what it looked like. Oh well.
And I mean, we do two different videos.
They could be different videos. It could be the same kid, it's just fucked up.
Anyways, that kid that said that his dad had a knife is obviously, it's the same kid. It's a sequel.
Yeah, this is the sequel. The sequeling. But he locks them in that cupboard, and he trails Petrol down the stairs, and he sets the fucking building ablaze. And when the sheriff comes along, he's sort of like sitting to the side whistling, and one of the fire guys is like, only Bill, like, escaped the fire. He was mowing the goddamn lawn. Like, the line is, and he was mowing the goddamn lawn, which was pretty good. I liked it. I thought the delivery was rather nice. Like, there's not a lot of comedic moments, but some of the line deliveries are pretty, like, huh.
Yeah. No, I find it really hard, like, watching this movie, it was more, oh, let's sit and enjoy this movie, rather than, ha 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 ha, this is funny.
Yeah. But after that, we cut to, there's hunters wading through some marshland, and they find a submerged dead pilot who's, like, got his parachute thing caught on, like, a tree there. The sheriff then goes and sees them, and their dead pilot, and he's like, well, if this is the pilot, where's the plane? So I've then got 3 men in a boat, which is a TV show. You're like, romantic boat ride upon the marshland.
Yeah, that's exactly what I put.
Yeah. Then they start to scoot along this boat, and there's a guy called Travis, who seems kind of like a bit of a wiener. And the sheriff's like, here, Travis, turn the engine off. And Russell, our deputy, is like, oh, why we stopped here, Chief? We're looking for the plane. He's like, yep, it's a big plane. We're right on top of it. And then it pans out to like a down shot, and you just see this massive like plane submerged, which is pretty cool.
It was pretty.
Yeah, it's like pretty cool. And then we find out that this is where, like, this area is where the whole town's drinking water comes from. And so, you know, bitches be crazy. It goes to that Rory guy's house first. Like, it's one of the first places it hits along the pipelines. So the sheriff thinks that something's up. I mean, he's right. And he goes to the mayor and is like, we need to shut off the town's water. And the mayor is like, no, this is a farming community. You do that in this season, this is planting season, crops will die, everybody will be in debt and lose all their money. No. So he takes it into his own hands and he goes and tampers with the water thing himself. Nothing really happens about that. The fact that he's tampered with like the water works in the area, it doesn't come up again. But he's done it.
At least he made a move to try and solve the problem.
Well, I mean, at least he did something, you know. You've got to at least give him that. And when they end up back in the police station, they had locked up Crazy Bill, and he was supposed to be getting picked up that morning, but nobody actually came for him. And so I've just got Crazy Man bleeding and extra crazy, because he's just bleeding and being crazy.
I mean, that sums it up pretty perfectly.
I mean, like, yeah, I figured that's an adequate description. They then check their phones and there isn't any signal, and the streets are looking pretty darn empty. There's just like one shot of some woman on a bicycle muttering as she cycles past him. And we hear like camera shots and see like camera like sort of snapshots being taken of like him and the woman. And he starts towards this black SUV, because obviously it looks out of place in this small town where mostly everybody's got pickup trucks and stuff.
Yeah.
So this shiny black SUV drives off, and we're like, oh, is it like the feds or something? And so he tries to get into the funeral parlor, but I think he ends up going around the back to like the dead people bit. What's it called? Mortuary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he ends up going around. I think so. You keep dead people in a mortuary. I think. We're just gonna call it that just now because it's the only word I can think of. If it turns out that we're wrong, please let us know in the comments. But he finds, like, there's a couple of bodies there, but he sees that, like, one of the cloths covering the bodies is, like, moving, and he lifts up, and the pastor has his eyes and mouth stitched shut. And so he grabs some little scissors and starts cutting the pastor's, like, mouth stitches, and he's, like, behind you, and then there's the fucking coroner is there, and he's trying to fight him with a fucking bone saw. And it's, like, it's a pretty decent fight. I quite like it.
Yeah, it was really good. I will definitely give this movie props for all of its kind of, like, more intense scenes.
Yeah,
like,
it does them well.
It does them really well. Especially, like, some of the death scenes are really cool.
Yeah.
Really unique.
Yeah, you gotta give it props.
Really enjoy.
But, so, how he gets out of this situation is the coroner's trying to fight him with this bone saw. He, like, tugs the cable, and it sort of ends up, like, wrapped mildly around the coroner. And so he ends up killing him that way just by pulling on the cable for it, and once the coroner is, like, dead and the bone saw's been released, it starts scooting along the floor, and you're like, oh, he's gonna get his testes chopped. Like, legit, he's ass scooching backwards across this floor, like, and then is like, well, his baby maker is gonna become moosh.
Oh, that's a quote of the day, man.
That's the next one that's gonna be clipped and put on Twitter if you want to follow us on Twitter at FoundFootageYT. There we go. I plugged us.
Look at you.
Thanks, man! But his deputy comes in, stands on the cable so that it doesn't quite reach him, and pulls the plug, and it's like, well, shit. And it's like, yeah, well, shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we cut back to his house, and he's telling his wife that she needs to go stay with her parents, and she's like, well, where are you going? And he's like, no, I'm the sheriff. And she's like, well, I'm the fucking doctor. And it's like, yes, girl, go get it.
Power couple of the century.
Well, of the small town, at least.
Yeah, the small town.
The small town
century.
The small town century. But his wife thinks that there's somebody outside, and so he goes out and he checks in their shed, and when he's coming back out, he gets jumped by some military guys and taking to the high school fields on, like, buses full of people. And it turns out that Russell was on his way to go to Cedar Rapids to, I don't know, can't remember what he was doing. Look for somebody or something or other. But his truck got, like, fucking road spiked and taken off the road, so they ended up, they could put him on this bus so he wouldn't get to leave the area. So they're all on this bus, and there's heaps of them coming in and, like, parking at this high school, and the idea is that they're trying to test for, like, spiking temperatures, so everybody gets scanned and everybody gets their temperature taken. And Judy's temperature is running a bit high, so they take her and she gets separated. Russell ends up getting taken to, like, another area, so they're all separated. But the reason that Judy's temperature is high is because she's pregnant, not because she's infected. So...
What a way to announce a pregnancy.
I know, right?
Forget about, gender reveal parties. This is the new thing.
Yeah, get your temperature taken and get quarantined with crazy people. But, so the quarantined, infected and possibly infected people are in one area, non-infected folks get sort of dumped in another area, and then we see that the sheriff's been knocked out because he was trying to go with his wife. And so he wakes up on, like, a truck, and they're, like, rounding up these people at, like, a truck stop, and it's like, alright, okay, whatever. And he finds Russell, like you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we cut back to the quarantine area, and that's getting shot up. Because some guys drove their truck through some gates, and then all the people who were being held were like, right, well, fuck this, we're powering out. And so they were just shooting people, infected and not, it didn't really matter. And so Russ and David go to prison, break Judy out from the quarantine area that she's being kept in, because obviously all the soldiers have abandoned this area, and obviously they haven't unclipped anybody, because they pretty much believe that everybody there is infected. But Judy isn't infected, and then there's also her assistant Becca is tied up on the table next to her, and I'm pretty sure she's not infected.
She doesn't give off any
infected vibes, so she's maybe just got like a fucking, I don't know, high temperature for whatever reason. But you start hearing scratching and scraping noises coming across the floor, and the crazy principal comes in with a pitchfork and he skewers 2 people, killing them, and he's going to kill Becca. And then Judy's like, hey, no, hey, fuck you. And so he sets his sights on her, and just as he's away to kill her, he gets shot from behind by David. Which is, pretty good timing, pretty good save.
Good saving. David came in clutch.
Came in clutch.
Yeah.
David came in clutch. So we now have Russ, David, Judy, and Becca, and they start making their way through the town. And the hunters who were making their way through the marsh earlier seem to be crazy now. These guys, so our group dive down behind a truck, and the hunters, they shoot a guy and take his body and load him up onto the bed of their truck with like some other bodies of people that they shot up, and they drive off. And it's like, oh well then, because obviously they're like, well, they're hunting for sport, they're hunters.
Yeah.
So
they're animals, it's time to move to humans.
Yeah. Let's time to shoot the townsfolk. So they start making their way to David and Judy's. Russ is like, look, we'll cut off like maybe 2 miles if we go through, I think it's the McGregor's Fields, I think is the name. Wouldn't quote me on it. But that's where they're going. So they're going to cut through like this other family's farm to get to David and Judy's house, where David's got like a beat up old police car that he doesn't think will be clamped down, and he doesn't think will be destroyed because it hasn't actually got any tires on it. So I mean, like, that's positive-ish.
Yeah. That's like a light at the end of the tunnel.
It's like, yeah, let's fucking go, boys. But when they get closer to the McGregor's farm place, Becca starts sort of running off towards it because her boyfriend Scotty, that's his parents' place. And so they stop off there on the way. They're like, okay, fine, we'll like check on him, whatever. So they end up like hiding in his barn with him because military are like flooding the place, and they go into his house. They bring out his mum to like screen her for what like stuff. He like runs out of the barn to get to his mum, and they shoot him. And then his mum runs to him. It's like, my son, he's just been shot in front of me, and then they shoot her, which is pretty cold-blooded of them. A bit harsh.
It's a little harsh.
Just a little bit harsh. Yeah. And so the military are going to like fan out and scan the entire area, and they grab one of the soldiers who comes closer to the bar, and it turns out he's called Babcock. I read it off of his fucking uniform. And he promises not to blab. Like, he's not going to tell them that they're there. And he says that he doesn't know, like, they weren't told what they were flown in to do. He doesn't really want to be shooting civilians, but orders are orders.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's like, am I gonna die? Because, like, they took off his gas mask. And he's like, they're like, what? So they're like, shit, is this airborne? Because he was like, they told me I would die if I took my mask off. They were like, don't take your mask off. So they give him back his mask and just sort of send him on his way. And he doesn't rat them out, so that's kind of like a win-win sort of thing. He doesn't die, and he doesn't rat them out. And then they make their way back to David and Judy's place. The beat up old cop car is in the shed. Russell's like, cool, Becca, go grab some tools. So they're gonna fix it up. And then like Judy is in the nursery, obviously lamenting the fact that this is where she was gonna bring up her child. They've already like decorated the room and stuff. So obviously they're not gonna be able to do that anymore because they need to get a movie and they need to get out of this town. And the shot pans from Judy looking over like the cot to a crazy in the corner, and David's getting some supplies and stuff, and he hears like the Babymobile like it's playing the song, and he goes to check on Judy, and he goes into the room, and Judy's tied up in a rocking chair, and then David gets hit on the head from behind and sort of knocked down, and it turns out that it is Rory's wife and son from the beginning of the movie, like the first crazy guy. They are the ones that are in their room. And then David ends up with a knife stabbed through his hand into the floor. Painful. But the wife is kind of going towards Judy, like, she's got his gun. Like, he's dropped his gun when he's come in, and he's been knocked down. And she looks like she's gonna shoot Judy, but he's like, hey, it was me, I'm glad, I should get a medal, I got rid of the town drunk, yeah, fuck you, sort of thing. and he manages to rip his hand and the knife out of the floor and smack it into her face. So he's like stabbed her in the face when the knife is still in his hand.
It was pretty gruesome, but also bad.
Yeah, like it was pretty fucking cool. And so he manages to dislodge his hand and knife from this woman's face so that he can have like his hand back. Her corpse falls and you just see her son behind her holding his gun, and you're like, ah, shit, right, he's gonna die. And he gets a bullet through the back of his head. The son does, because Russell is downstairs and he shot the fucker.
'Cause Russell came in clutch.
Do 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 do.
Again.
Yeah.
Russell's a good lad.
Yeah. And then they're all up there in the room, and one of them, like I think it's the wife's body, like twitches, and Russell gives them the double tap, and that kind of puts the fear in Judy, because Judy's like, Russell's sick.
To be fair, I mean, he did like the triple tap. It wasn't just a double tap.
Well, yeah, he gave them a couple of shots. He didn't just shoot them one more time, but at the same time, I would have the hefty fear. I'd shoot them a couple times.
Yeah, same.
That's just me. So they get out into the beat up old car that they've managed to like fix up, and they drive, and they're driving down this road, and there's like a helicopter above them, and they're like, oh shit, did it see us? Like, I don't think it's seen us. I think it might have seen us. Did it see us? And then it starts to come back around, and they're like, oh fuck. So they go and hang out at the car wash. Oh.
Hanging at the
car wash, yeah. That's sing it to me. But yeah, so they end up in the car wash, and then like Becca sees somebody, and the car wash starts up, and they're like, David, move, David, get out of there. So he's like, I've not got any traction on like the tires. I can't, like, there's literally nothing I can do. I can't make this car move. And Russell rolls down his window and starts shooting out of it, and he's like, I saw movement, and David's like, everything is fucking moving. Which I thought was great. That was like one of my favourite lines of the entire movie, is just him be like, well, everything is fucking moving.
I think it was just the way that the camera like panned onto his face.
Mm-hmm.
So full of rage.
Just like a rat in a cage. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's it, the end of the episode. We're done! Woo! But no, there is a bunch of crazies in this car wash trying to reach at them. They're like breaking out windows in the car. Judy ends up smashing a guy's face against the fucking like hood from the inside. Like Becca's like fighting some off. Like they're all fucking just fighting off these guys. And eventually David manages to get some traction to get the car moving. And he starts it up. He moves it forward. And then one of the crazies manages to sort of like get a bit like hose pipe, I think that's what it is, around Becca's neck, and she gets pulled out of the back window of the car, and she's hung up by this hose pipe. And Judy and Russell are like, right, we've got to fucking go get her. Like, they stop the car, they go out and get her, but she's dead. There's nothing they can do. Like, there's nothing they can do. But they're under the roof of the car wash at this point, like having a somber moment over the loss of their friend. And the military helicopter blows up their fucking car. So the military's probably like, these bitches are fucking dead. Amazing. But so after they see their car blow up, they're sort of staring at it, and Russell just sort of laughs under his breath a little bit, and I'm like, is it sickness or is it stress? Because I think that I would fucking piss myself at that situation, because it'd be like, wow, what fucking else can go wrong?
I would actually laugh, but it would be that, like, angry laugh. Just,
Yeah.
What else? Of
it's
course.
Like, what are you gonna do except fucking laugh? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's such bad luck that it's funny.
Yeah. But you can see, like, both Judy and David giving him the side eye, like, oh, but bitch. And they're walking along the road, and they get to where Russell's car from earlier got fucking, like, tire spiked, and it's on the other side of the road, and they're looking for, like, water or anything they can use in, like, the car. And there's, like, another one that seems to be somewhat abandoned that's maybe had the same deal. And then there's a car, like a black SUV, and I'm not entirely sure if it's the exact same one. I'm not a car person, I don't really know. But it's driving along the road, and David moves out into the middle of the road holding his gun, and he's like, we're taking that car, like, and says to his wife, like, stay behind, like, the police car that's on the side of the road. But yeah. Russell's like, fuck this, and fucking whips out the fucking tire spikes, and the car goes over them, and it does some fucking flips and shit, like, It's an action sequence.
I mean, they're pretty much the car's pretty much unusable at that
Yeah,
point.
the car's pretty fucking told. There's no way they're gonna be able to use that. But a guy gets out of it, and Russell's all for just fucking killing this guy right here, but David wants to talk to the guy. And he's either some Fed or some army man, but he's explaining that it's like, well, look, would you rather we killed people in this town or there was a global pandemic? You know what I mean? We lost a fucking plane. What do you want? It was on its way to Texas to be destroyed. Whatever kind of virus it was. I don't remember the name. It was something complicated.
It's a big chemistry word. I don't know.
You're like, I did science, but I don't know what words are. And so David's in between the process of being like, right, so you're gonna fucking take us, blah blah blah, and then Russell shoots him in the fucking head. David's like, I want to speak to him, and Russell's like, we did? So we can all tell now that Russell's not right. There's something up with him. He's definitely taking his turn at the crazy, whereas before it's like, dude, that could just be stress.
Yeah.
Cause like, you don't need to be a crazy person to fucking laugh at the fucking misfortune that you've just had.
Yeah, and you don't need to be a crazy person to, double tap when there's
Triple
like
tap.
triple, quadruple tap.
Triple, double, quadruple tap. Beep, beep, beep.
Let's make stickers of that.
Let's do it. And so Russell goes to sort of like dig in this guy's car, leaving his like rifle propped up on the side, and David takes it and is like, I'll carry it for a while, man. And Russell's like, oh, you sure? And David's like, yeah. And so like he and Judy start walking forward, and Russell pulls out the handgun that he found in the back of this car and is like, no. And we're like, shit, dude, come on, man. Come on. So Russell ends up with all the guns and makes the other two walk in front of him. Now they're walking along for a little while, and David's like, I'm gonna confront him. And Judy's like, no, don't do that. And he's like, well, look, if we don't get where we're going, we're gonna die sooner or later, so why don't I just confront him now and see what, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he confronts him. It's like, look, I just want to talk, man. And so Russell's like, yeah, okay. And he punches him and gets the guns.
Like a badass.
Like a badass. And then, like, Russell sort of, like, lying on the ground is like, you remember that fish I caught last summer? Ugh. I'm not right, am I? And they're like, no, Russell, you're not. And it was really sad, because I liked Russell.
I did too. Russell was my favorite.
Russell was like, yeah, I think Russell might have been my favorite too.
Just a simple dude.
Just a simple dude who's like, I'm not okay, am I? Because he's like, I can tell that, I'm not right. And like, he wants to be. He doesn't want to hurt his friends. So he's like, can I just walk with you guys for a little while longer? And they're like, yeah, of course you can. And so they're all walking along. And then they eventually get to this like military barricade, like a roadblock, and Russell sacrifices himself so that David and Judy can make it like across and go to like this truck stop where everybody was before, where like David had been previously, because that's where everybody had been gathered. So they're heading there in the hopes that they'll be able to get help. And Russell empties the gun of David gives him a handgun, and Russell empties it of any bullets, and he goes out towards the military guys. It's like, it's okay, I'm not sick. It's okay. And obviously these military guys are like, all fucking sights are on him, you know what I mean? And he reaches into his like the back of like his trousers, and he pulls out the gun, and they shoot him dead. And he's like, awesome. Cause he was like, I'm pretty sure that he emptied all the bullets so he could be like, look, I was of literally no danger to you.
Yeah.
Like, you've killed lots of innocents.
You've just fucked an entire town.
You fucked up an entire town. Poor Russell.
I know. Russell's death was sad. I really felt for him.
We're gonna need to make a list of our favorite characters. Russell, Phil,
yeah,
nobody in Temple.
No, they were all horrible in Temple.
Everybody in Temple was fucking boufing.
I'm trying to think, what was the first movie we watched? Why do I always forget?
As Above, So Below. George is my favorite from that.
Yeah, I quite like George.
Who, I realized afterwards, plays, I can't remember the character's name, but he's in the remake / reboot of Friday the 13th. He's one of the guys who gets killed in the cold open.
Oh, really?
He is.
I'm very surprised. I didn't know that. I don't think I had actually seen him in anything else.
I'm assuming he is. I recognize his face. But it only occurred to me that that's where I'd seen it before, and I could be totally wrong. He could be a totally different dude, and I would not know.
Feeding lies to the audience.
I'm feeding lies to the children. But yeah. You what?
I hope children aren't watching us.
No, dude, we're totally child-friendly and safe. Don't worry, I always mark it as it's not child-friendly content.
Oh, that's good.
Wink wink, motherfuckers. So David and Judy make it to this truck stop, and David's like, sort of stay here, and I'll go and have a look inside, because it's empty. There's nobody there. And so David's checking inside, and Judy is outside. And you get the feeling with the way that it's cut and shot that maybe somebody's grabbed Judy. But when David comes out, she's just sort of sat on the ground, and she drops all of these bullet casings, and you can see that the floor is just fucking littered with thousands of empty bullet casings. And it pans out to a shot from inside the back of one of, like, these military, like, people carrying cargo things. You know the ones where it's got, like, a tarp over the back, and it's got, like a truck bed fucking lift thing?
You mean a truck?
Yeah. I thought it would have, like, a different name. Is it literally just a truck?
Maybe it's like a cargo truck or something like that.
Well, there's like 300 different types of truck, and it's like, do you use the word truck for all of these?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. I'm not a car person. I don't know.
You're not a heterosexual car dude.
I'm not a car, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I'm not a car. I'm a human.
I'm not a car. But it shows the burnt corpses of loads and loads of people. And so they've obviously massacred all these people, shot them all, and burned all the corpses. Even the people who weren't sick, because they really didn't want this getting out. And then the couple have a little heart-to-heart in the truck stop diner, and David goes to grab some supplies and stuff, because he's found, like, a big truck. Yes? Truck?
Yeah.
That word? Excellent. Mm-hmm. It's all trucks, motherfucker.
We're all trucks here.
We're all trucks here. Yeah.
Says Mac from Cars.
Mac from Cars or Mater?
No, Mac, because Mac's the big truck.
Yeah, but Mater is a tow truck.
Yeah, but Mac is like a truck, and we were on the topic of like truck.
Alright, we need to stop saying the word truck, or I'm gonna get so, like, whooshed, you know what I mean?
Truck.
I'm going to be sending out applications for a new co-host soon. Everybody, please be sure to like and subscribe. But yeah, so David's looking for supplies to get them out of there. He's like grabbing bottles of water and stuff. He grabs a Zippo, like a lighter, and he lights up straight away. And I'm almost 100% convinced that those things don't come with fuel in them. Like, they wouldn't be sitting out there on the shelves with fuel in them.
See, I just thought it's just like any other lighter.
But, like, well I mean, maybe it's not a refillable. I always thought that those ones were kind of like the refillable ones, which I don't think come with fuel in them.
I want to look it up.
Please do. Tell the people what they want to know, and what they want to know is if you're a
like, they are refillable, but I was sure they always, kind of like how some things you buy require batteries, but they do sometimes come with batteries.
Oh, like they come with like demo batteries, so it comes with maybe like a little bit of fuel?
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong.
I feel like this is such a niche question that I don't know if it's gonna...
Google, answer me. Google, respond.
I think some of them do. I don't know. Yeah.
Alright. We are going to go with some of them do, some of them probably don't. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm glad you could come to this arrangement. And so, while David is looking for all his supplies and stuff, Judy gets up to grab like a bottle of water, and while she's having a drink, there's another pan-out shot of a crazy stood behind her, which is like the second time that they've done this. It's still somewhat effective. It's not as jump-scary as it was the first time. It wasn't even that jump-scary the first time, to be honest.
To be fair, I thought the second one was slightly more jump-scary.
Was it? Like,
I don't know.
I mean, I didn't jump at either of them, so...
I didn't jump either, but it took me longer to realize that the guy was behind her than
to, like, clock it. I suppose it's darker in the back of the shot with the guy than it is with the one where it was the wife. Because that was a during the day sort of scene. Which, okay, so I'll give you that. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
Thanks. Pacify me.
Yeah. So David is then like I think he like puts the bag in the truck and he's in like that area and he clocks the pickup truck from earlier that was full, like the bed was full of the bodies. It was the hunters ones. And so shit, they must be here. And then the lights go out and Judy's like fuck. She can hear people, so she grabs a knife and she does like, and anytime there's a scene like this where there's somebody skulking around like low in a kitchen, I always think of Jurassic Park.
I was gonna say that actually.
Yeah, I'm like, when are the raptors coming?
Forget about the crazies.
There's
It's
no
all
cra-
about the raptors.
There's no crazies, only raptors.
But remake where they do the crazies, but it's just velociraptors.
Dude, let's make it.
And I think that's got some money behind it.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
It's just a small town, and like raptors live and do about their normal
Yeah,
stuff.
they just go about their day-to-day lives and then suddenly one walks onto the baseball field with a shotgun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like all the raptors were previously playing baseball.
yeah. All of the raptors are playing baseball. This is the new headcanon. Raptors play ball.
That's their favorite sport.
Yeah, obviously. They can't play they can't play basketball. Their nails would pierce the ball. Same with like football or soccer if you're one of the American folk.
It's soccer.
It's football.
But that's actually a really valid point. I never even thought of it that way.
What, that their nails would pierce the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about the technical aspect of raptor sports. You just think about how funny it would be to watch them swinging bats.
Alright, okay.
Yeah.
I get it. The same.
Bitch. So Judy's crawling around the kitchen with like this knife in her hand, and she's kind of closed in by like two of the crazy guys, and so she heads through the back and she can sort of like see the shadow of a third guy coming from that end, and so she dives into like a little side room and she has to hide amongst some corpses that are in there, which works. I mean, no, they don't notice that she's there. The best way is to hide with the dead most of the time. It worked in 28 Days Later, it works in this, you know.
You should do a list of all the like all scenes like that in the top horror films.
Okay, you'll have to help me research it though.
Okay.
Deal. Fist bump!
Deal.
Ah,
Ah.
yeah!
Because we're social distancing.
Social distancing. Boop, boop.
I swear to you that she did a scene similar in Silent Hill.
I don't think she...
Did
Did she hide in... I don't think she hid with corpses.
But she hid in something gross, I'm sure.
I think it was like, you know, when the walls start peeling and stuff? I think it was
Yeah.
a scene like that. Or was it when she went to hide in the bathroom? Or was it the little boiler room one? There's like a little boiler room sort of scene.
No. Do you know that way when you just visualize it and you're like, that seems really familiar?
Yeah.
But then you can't recall, so I don't know if my brain is just making it up and being like, haha, you know things. But in
Yeah.
actuality, you don't know anything.
Like, she definitely didn't hide amongst corpses, I don't think. But she could have, like, she definitely had a couple of times where she was, like, crouching in, like, those scenes where everything gets all, like, Silent Hilly and peely and demonic and stuff.
Yeah.
We will have to do a Silent Hill episode at some point.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so she is crazy and doesn't wait to like crawl along the floor a little bit to see if the guys are still like kicking around out there. And I'm always just a little bit miffed when these people don't wait to do stuff like that because it's fucking stupid. But
Yeah.
we get a jump scare with somebody putting a hand over her mouth. It's just David, so we're Gucci. So they run to the truck and they get in the bed of the truck and they are trying to start it and they don't have the right keys. They've just sort of like, they pulled the corpse of like the driver guy out to get into the bed. And yeah, so David needs to grab the keys off of the dude, and there's like a guy in like the pit below. He must be like a mechanic like pit where they go underneath it and stuff. He grabs him and pulls him down there. And then, like, one of the crazies, like, is aiming a gun at Judy, and she's like, no. And so she, like, she shuts the the fucking door of like the bed of the truck. And like the crazy goes to get her, and she's opened the door on the other side, and you think, alright, so she's obviously gone out the other side, but she's hiding like just behind the seats, and when he turns around she gets a fucking wicked headshot.
Which is like the most badass scene she's had.
Yeah. Like she just gets this fucking wicked headshot, and it's like, yeah. And underneath the truck, David's like kind of fighting with the mechanic-y type guy, and he sets the dude on fucking fire with his lighter that came with fluid in it. And he still manages to keep a hold of the keys, which, I mean, round of applause to him. I mean, they were on the floor at one point, but he picked them up.
Yeah, at least he didn't forget them, because I can guarantee me in that situation be like, shit, where's the keys?
Yeah, the keys would be on fire. I've just got the note, they GTFO.
They get the fuck out.
They get the fuck out! So they're driving, and David has nabbed a radio from like a desk in like the back bit where the truck was. I don't know, he did it earlier at some point. It wasn't super important, but the voice over the radio is now counting down like from like 30 seconds, and Judy's like, well, what are they counting? Like, what happens when they reach 0? And David sort of looks at her, and it's like, it's obviously the inevitable bombing of the town. Like, is there, like, in any movie like this, is there any other reason for a military presence over the radio to be counting down other than to nuke the place?
They could be counting down to when the coffee's done being made.
I don't think so, but if you want to believe that, then you can. If that's what you want to believe, then that's okay.
I'll believe anything that involves coffee.
Fair enough. And right, so like they get to 1 on the countdown, and nothing happens for a few seconds, and they sort of look at each other like, oh, right. And then you see the nuke go off in the town behind them, and their truck gets fucking totaled by like the shockwaves from the blast, and there's fucking dust everywhere, and they just get fucking, yeah. But they survive the wreckage. It would be, yeah, it would fucking suck if they didn't survive the wreckage.
No, that would suck. That'd be like last minute, you think they're away, and then it's like, oh no, never mind.
Yeah, it'd be like, there were so many other opportunities for them to die that you would kill them with that truck blast. But they didn't, they live. And there's like, there's quite a nice shot of them holding hands looking at the clouds from the blast, because there's still like a little like sort of like mushroom cloud shape going on, and there's like loads of like dust clouds around, and it kind of reminds me of like, I don't think it ever actually was one, but it reminds me of something that would be like a Pierce the Veil album cover or something.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Like,
Do you know what it reminded me of? You know that scene in Indiana Jones, the one with the aliens?
didn't watch it.
Did you not?
I've not seen Crystal Skull.
Bruh, you gotta watch it.
Dude, I don't know if I want to.
No, like, it's not good, but it's defos worth a watch. I mean, like, at one point, Harrison Ford gets in a refrigerator and gets,
I
like,
know.
caught.
Oh, like, I know that he gets in a fridge. Like, I know that he gets in a fridge. I can't remember which game it is. It's either Fallout... Is it Fallout 3? It's... Right, so it's either 3, 4, or New Vegas, which doesn't narrow it down, right? But there is, like, a little sort of, like, side thing where in one of those there's, like, a child in a fridge. Like a... Oh, what the fuck are they called? They're not called mutants. Are they called mutants? No. Ghoul. There's a ghoul.
I thought they were. Oh, the ghouls.
There's a ghoul. Not a feral ghoul, just a kid, but like a ghoul in a fridge. So, fun facts for everybody.
It's Fallout 4. I knew it was.
Is it Fallout 4?
Yeah, it's Fallout 4.
Nice. I could not remember which one it was. So that's obviously a reference to the It's obviously a reference to the Indiana Jones film. And so after our nice stylistic, like, post-hardcore kind of album cover, they are walking over fields in jumpers that they've swiped from, like, the truck stop, and they look kind of like tourists almost, because it seems so out of place on them.
Yeah.
That's just, like, my only thought was, like, it looks like tourists going to, like, see a roadside attraction wearing the merch.
It's like a really tacky label. It was like, quick fills.
Yeah. World's biggest sausage. I don't know.
It's a gas station.
Dude, I don't know, man. But as they're walking, it zooms out to like a satellite camera image, and it's like just keeps zooming out, and it's like Cedar Rapids initiate containment protocol, because these two were from the infected town and they're making their way to Cedar Rapids, which is an uninfected town, and this place, it doesn't have a population of like 1,200. It has a population of 128,000. And so after it pulls out, it starts like there's a cover of Bring Me Sunshine over the credits, and it's just like the most jaunty tune ever. I was loving it.
Yeah, it was really cheery.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they might go and kill 128,000 people. Haha, bring me sunshine, did it?
Yeah, I really love when they like juxtapose really cheery songs against like, really terrible things.
Yeah. It's
It's
just,
just
it was like the Johnny Cash cover at the very beginning. It's like, aw, this is a horror film.
uh-huh. I love that. It's like one of those like guilty pleasures where you're like, oh, it's such a typical trope, but I adore it.
I like it, yeah. But yeah, so that was the Crazies from 2010.
10 years ago.
Nothing was 10 years ago. I am not old.
You're old. You're over 25, and that means you're old.
Yeah. So that was the Crazies. I liked it.
I liked it too. It's a bit biased, but I like it.
Like zombies, like infected, like pandemic-y type movies, that's my jam. I like that. So it was pretty much always gonna be a winner for me, so long as it wasn't fucking atrocious.
Yeah, definitely. I think
Yeah.
it's always a good watch. Totally recommend. If you're not super fussed on the technicality of certain movies and stuff like that, then it's definitely you'll gather entertainment from it, and that's all that matters.
It is rather entertaining. Rather entertaining.
It's rather a good laugh, really.
It's a bit of a laugh. Well, there's not that much comedy in it, but
No, you wouldn't laugh at anything, I don't think.
I think you would laugh at
Normally-
like 3 lines, but yeah.
Hey, normally when we watch the movies together, we're like, ha 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 ha, this is hilarious, but
This
no,
one
we
this one was just genuinely good. So like it has a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb, so it's
Yeah, it's got like a 71 rate, like 71% on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that.
yeah. So it's
And
like
then
it's like rated decently. This isn't right, so like it's not one of those movies where it's like critic and like fucking Oscar like fucking fodder. It's not really designed for critics to be like, this is a great movie. It's designed for people who like horror and are fans of the genre, and also like who are fans of the original movie and stuff, to enjoy it. It's made for people who are going to enjoy it, and not just for people to be like, it was amazing, 8 stars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it didn't really do anything new, but it was still really entertaining.
it didn't do anything new, but it was good. So with that, we will probably say goodbye, because this is the longest recording we have done. So we will see you next time. We don't have a movie picked out yet. We normally do it on the day, if we're being totally honest with you. And yeah, so make sure to check us out on Twitter at FoundFootageYT. Don't quote me on it, but might start an Instagram for it if anybody would be interested.
I know I'd be interested.
I do that. You can also follow Casey just to her house in general.
Yeah. And then I can like show the people to your house.
Yeah. And then I can like get into trouble. So we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.